90% of all millionaires became so through real estate. But how? The world of real estate investing is jam-packed with fast-paced seminars, everyone telling you to buy the dip, that book everyone swears by, and an unreal number of different strategies.
House hacking and investing.
Wholesaling. It is subject to
how to get rich as a real estate agent.
What a BRRRR property is all about. Buy, we have it.
You guys, like I said, we're wholesaling, which means
hotel. What you want to call it?
This is why so many people want to get out of the rat race and into real estate, but never get started. Between analysis paralysis and shiny object syndrome, it can be tough to choose a strategy and just go for it. It's scary, and it can be dangerous if your choice is wrong. The whole point of investing is to put money into something and hope that you're not just throwing it away, but actually making a profit. But what if that doesn't happen? Anyone who says real estate isn't risky is lying. People make bad decisions, rehabs go over budget, and the market could shoot up or crash at any moment. So choosing where to start can be one of the most difficult and one of the most personal decisions that you make. Thank you to DealMachine for sponsoring today's video.
So we're gonna do a 3-man weave into a dunk. We'll have you pass the alley-oop to hammer at the end and he'll dunk.
Before the world went to crap and I started this YouTube channel, I was traveling the world as a Harlem Globetrotter. I was going to different countries, doing trick shots, hanging with star athletes, and learning about real estate. You could say that I was obsessed. Every car ride was spent listening to audiobooks, and every conversation started to revolve around what strategies I wanted to try first. But have you considered living in it while you flip it? And the more I learned, the more questions I had. Questions that I know you've had as well. Like, where does the capital for the BRRRR strategy come from? What type of loans work with house hacking? Or even just how to untangle the different vocab words, or what you should do if you want to start with one strategy and then switch to another. We've all got big goals to grow quickly and move towards financial freedom. But it's also scary to think about losing the little bit of capital you've saved up, or maybe even worse, ruining your reputation in your market before you even get started. I get it. And at one point, the stress of it all had me seriously considering quitting. I'm usually pretty high energy, and I just feel like I don't have that today. Just today wasn't a good day. Like, today wasn't fun. I thought I had a great deal, and I just got a lot of people who were saying like, this is a crap deal. But eventually I was able to push through, and I ended up finding success with 3 different strategies in just 1 year. And in order to give you a true beginner's perspective, I want to share what worked well with each of those strategies and what didn't, how each one moved me closer to financial freedom, and at the end, I'll even share which strategies I might have tried first if I had to do it all over again. This is the video you've been waiting for, and at the end, you're going to tell me and the comment section your plan for getting started and getting rid of analysis paralysis forever. You ready? Most times when we think of financial freedom, we think of making more money. If only we had enough to buy that thing we want, support that family member we love, or quit that job that we hate. Whatever it is, we think having more will help us get it. But the first strategy that I found success with was actually focused on having less. For most people in America, housing is your biggest expense, whether you own your house or you're renting. Let's say you have a monthly income of $3,000, but $1,500 goes to your rent or to your mortgage, leaving you with $1,500 for everything else. But if you could save just half of your housing payment, you'd have an extra $750 a month in your pocket, and saving $750 is just as legit as making $750. This was the mindset that I had when I tried house hacking. We'll get into exactly how it works, but it's the idea of purchasing a property and renting out the extra space to help lower or even completely eliminate your living expense. Oh, this stupid train. We gotta stop meeting like this. And if you're the type who hates living with other people, or you don't have the best credit in the world, stay tuned because I've got solutions for those things that you're gonna wanna hear. At this point, I had just graduated from Notre Dame after tearing my ACL in our national championship season. And that meant I was moving out of my college apartment and I needed to look for housing. So if you're in a situation where your lease is coming up or you're planning a move, it's a pretty logical time to consider house hacking. And even if you're not planning a move, you probably still wanna consider it because it's likely the least expensive real estate you're ever gonna have the chance to buy. And that's because of a concept called leverage. I think of leverage as a way of buying an asset with some amount of borrowed money. And if you think about it, it's a pretty rare opportunity. Let's say you wanna buy a stock. Whatever percent you buy is the percentage that you own. In order to own one Apple stock, up front, you must have 100% of what it costs. But with real estate, it's different. You typically only need 20 to 25% as a down payment, and the bank will loan you the rest to be paid back over time. You've then leveraged your 20% into owning and controlling 100% of the asset. But with house hacking, it gets even better. Most house hackers use owner-occupied loans, and those loans typically have a down payment requirement of just 3 to 3.5%. And if you're rightfully worried about how risky using that much leverage might be, keep watching, because I was doing all of this at possibly the worst time in history and had no idea what was coming. But since I was graduating from college and working my first real job, I didn't have 2 years of job history, I didn't have a lot of credit, and I didn't have a lot of savings. But that's why house hacking with an FHA loan specifically is a great opportunity. The FHA program is meant for first-time buyers, and so the typical requirements like job history, credit score, and savings are a bit more relaxed and catered to your individual circumstances. Plus, you can have a co-signer or a co-borrower if you're not in a position to go it alone. But what if living with a sibling or a friend might be a national security threat? Hey, I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you remember that time we got in a fight and we broke the bed and then Dad fixed it for us?
Yes.
I still don't think Mom knows about that. Well, luckily for world peace, the FHA program allows you to buy 1, 2, 3, or 4 units with that same 3.5% down payment. So whoever you're living with can get their own unit. There's no more fighting over toothpaste in the sink. Seriously? Everybody gets their own sink. If house hacking is sounding right for you, I'm gonna link to another video in the description that tells you how I bypassed that 3.5% down payment altogether. But what you need to know now is this. Your very first step is to call a local lender and get pre-approved. This is literally what you should be doing today if you're watching this during business hours, and do it first thing tomorrow morning if you're not. The only way to know how much a bank might lend you, what type of interest rate you might get, or if you're gonna need something like a cosigner, is to call a lender. They'll ask different questions about your situation, and if you're ready, they'll get your credit score. I recently got a DM from someone who finally got pre-approved after procrastinating for months, and she found out that her and her husband qualified for a $250,000 purchase, which was way more than she was anticipating, and in her area, the median home price is only $160,000. So she's got plenty of room to work with. Now, if you're thinking, my market is way more expensive than that, it's never gonna work, call a lender. Pre-approval rates and how much they'll lend you is based on what area and the cost of living that you're gonna be buying in. So call a lender. If you don't know your credit score or your debt to income ratio or what that even means, call a lender. If you're not quite sure that you're actually ready to start house hacking, still call a lender. It's a free call, and once you get that momentum up of doing something, it's gonna be so much easier to keep it going and continue to take action. So call a lender, but maybe wait until after this video because the story's not over. It's now February of 2020. Think back to what you were doing. Were you getting ready to buy something for a special someone on Valentine's Day? Maybe buy something for yourself for Valentine's Day? Whatever you did, I hope you had fun because it was your last chance for a while without thinking about masks and social distancing. But we'll get back to that. Around that time, I was feeling pretty discouraged on my hunt for the perfect house hack. Duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes are in high demand, and the hotter the market gets, the more expensive things get. I made so many rejected offers on multifamily properties that I started considering getting a single family house with a mother-in-law suite or a finished basement. At some point, you may even consider getting a single family house with a lot of rooms and taking the master suite for yourself, you know, to avoid the toothpaste wars and all. Who even squeezes the toothpaste from the bottom? Anyway, just after mid-February of 2020, I closed on this duplex. And I was hype. I posted the downstairs unit on Zillow for rent. I started interviewing tenants, and I was setting up my unit to Airbnb while I was out traveling with the Globetrotters. The numbers worked out so that after my tenants paid rent, I would only have a couple of $100s left to make on the payment, and I was pretty sure I could cover that with the Airbnb income and live completely for free. But all of that came to a halt just a few days later.
On this Wednesday night, the coronavirus officially reaches pandemic proportions.
Not only could I no longer travel the world, but the tenants who had just signed a lease were stuck a couple of states away, and there was no way that they were going to be able to move in right during lockdown. So here I was with this giant house, a looming mortgage, and no income. But I did have some savings in the bank that could hold me over for at least 3 months. And no matter how low of a down payment you're gonna get, buying a house is still buying a house. It's still taking on a lot of debt. And so you are going to want to spend some time side hustling, saving up, whatever you need, because you could get stuck in a situation like this. But luckily, the FHA program is a government-backed program, and they don't want to deal with hundreds of thousands of people going into foreclosure at the same time. So they have certain safeguards in place, and because I got furloughed from work and my tenants weren't able to move in, I qualified for a forbearance, which let me pause my mortgage payments for an entire 12 months. Of course, no one but good old Professor T saw the global panini coming, but the FHA program is generally considered a safe loan product with good support, relatively low interest rates, and a 30-year payment that will never change. I'm no longer Airbnb-ing my unit for obvious reasons, and after my tenants pay their rent, I still have a couple of $100s left to complete the payment, and that's okay. It's great, actually. If I was renting this unit, I'd pay about $1,000 more than I pay now, and I wouldn't own the house. I would be subject to rent hikes from my landlord. I'd have to ask permission if I wanted a pet, and I wouldn't be benefiting from gaining equity as this property continues to appreciate. Plus, $1,000 extra in my pocket has the same impact on me as if I went out and worked to make $1,000 extra dollars. The final thing I want to address about house hacking is the dreaded PMI. Yes, when you make a down payment of less than 20%, you typically have private mortgage insurance added to your loan. It's typically 0.6 to 1.9% of your loan amount paid over 12 months. Now, if you've got the 20% and you want to put it down, feel free. But if you don't have it, don't think you must wait till you have 20% of a down payment saved up just to avoid the PMI. For me, it's worth paying $200 a month more rather than having to wait and save up $50,000 more for a down payment just to get started. At this point, it's the start of lockdown and I was bored. I spent my days like many of you probably did, wandering around my house and watching YouTube. The thrill of getting my house hack was amazing and I wanted to do it again, but typically when you take an owner-occupied loan, you're agreeing to live in the property for 12 months and I couldn't move anywhere anyway. But I really wanted another deal. And if you feel the same way that I did back then, you're definitely going to want to try out the sponsor of today's video, DealMachine. As you know, the housing market is getting more and more competitive and good deals are becoming harder and harder to find. And even though I found my house hack in my first wholesale deal on market, DealMachine is one of the best ways to get up off the couch, take some action, and start looking for off-market properties. It doesn't matter what strategy you're gonna start with, whether you're looking for a multifamily property to house hack, or you're looking for a distressed property to wholesale, or if you're gonna try out a cool strategy that we haven't talked about yet, cool as a hint, DealMachine is still a great option. You can use their route tracking feature to select what types of properties you want to drive by, and then it'll plan out a route for you so you can just pop in your car, pull up the app, and log the properties as you drive by them to put them on your list. If you've watched my channel before, you've seen me send out these awesome direct mail pieces to help me get deals, and you can send them out right from the DealMachine app as well. Not only do I have a 7-day free trial for you, but if you use the link in the description or the code Lili at checkout, you'll also get 30 free marketing credits so you can start SkipTracing or sending out those direct mail pieces. If you've ever said, I don't know where to start or what should I do first, here's your answer. Decide on your strategy after finishing this video, then go grab your free trial of DealMachine, and in the next 3 days, you're gonna drive and log your first 20 properties. This is your mission. Should you choose to accept it, let me know in the comment section.
As always, should you or any of your IM force be caught or killed, the Secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions.
If you haven't already guessed, my next strategy was wholesaling. But we need to talk because things are changing. One of the things we all love about wholesaling is you don't need much experience or much money to get started. The only thing that matters is that you can find a good deal, get it under contract, and pass it off to an investor. Except this might not be true for much longer. Recently, the wholesaling industry has come under attack, and the National Association of Realtors is leading the charge against us. They've labeled wholesaling as predatory and coercive, which I think is a bunch of crap, but I do think there's a problem in our industry. No money needed doesn't mean no investment needed. In order to wholesale, you should be investing your time, your energy, and yes, maybe some money to make sure you're doing it correctly. It's never a good look when a homeowner gets screwed over because the wholesaler couldn't find a cash buyer and so they ghosted a couple of days before closing. If you want to wholesale, invest some time, effort, and or money into learning to do it the right way. You can take some trainings from people that you trust, fast. Read books that walk you through the entire process, or one of my favorites, work for a wholesaler or an investor who's already doing it and learn the ropes. Even with the new regulations, I still love wholesaling. It gave me capital for purchases that have really built my business, and it gave me the connections I needed to build my network. It's also a very low risk way of getting into real estate, if you do it right. So if wholesaling interests you, here's what you're gonna do. Grab a free trial of Audible using the link in my description, download the Real Estate Wholesaling Bible, then grab your free trial of DealMachine and listen to that book while you drive and log 20 distressed properties. This is a huge, like 4,000 something square foot duplex, and as you can tell, they're painting it. I'll put a picture up of what it looked like before, but I think it's gonna look so much better. I'll show you guys that in a moment. For about 6 months, I worked my butt off and did almost 10 wholesale deals, some on market, some from pocket listings. But as I started to look closer at the math, I realized that even though I was making about $8,000 to $10,000 per deal, the investor that I passed the deal off to was making 5 to 10 times that, and they were getting monthly passive income if they ended up keeping the property as a rental. And that made me think about why I got into real estate in the first place, and for me, I was doing something wrong. Wholesaling is lucrative, but it's very hard work. It's active income. And my why for getting into real estate was to build up passive income. So I knew I needed to try something new. That's when I started paying attention to what my cash buyers were doing after they bought a deal from me, and most of them were using the BRRRR strategy. Get when I said earlier, because it's cool. It's a cool strategy, because it's, okay. BRRRR stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. And it's a way of buying distressed properties that allows you to get most, if not all, of your capital back out after you complete the deal. Let's put some numbers to it. If you were to buy a distressed house for $100,000 in the traditional way, you typically need to put down 25% as a down payment. Let's say after that, you put in another $25,000 to renovate the house, so you're all in for $50K. Now the house is in great condition and you can rent it out and cash flow $200 a month as passive income. Sounds great, right? But with that traditional method, it would take 20 years of $200 a month payments until you made back your $50,000 initial investment. And if you're thinking you can do a cash out refinance to get some of that equity back in your bank account, well, we'll get to that in a moment. The non-traditional way of doing this would be the BRRRR strategy. This was my very first BRRRR deal, and it was one that I got through a pocket listing from an agent that I'd previously wholesaled a deal with. For the purchase, instead of going to the bank like the traditional investor and immediately getting a long-term loan, I got a short-term private money loan for $90,000. Private and hard money loans, even though the interest rates are higher, are typically perfect for the BRRRR strategy. They're built for distressed homes, meaning they usually don't care that the house is in bad condition, they require a much smaller, if any, down payment, and they're short term, which means you won't have to deal with a prepayment penalty like you would in the traditional example if you got a bank loan first. If you're not sure how that refinance process works, don't worry, we've got a couple of ours to still get through. Access to this type of private loan is one of the reasons I'm so glad that I wholesaled before I tried to BRRRR. Wholesaling gave me the opportunity to bring value to more experienced investors in my market by bringing them deals, which in turn allowed me to network with them, which is how I found my private lender. He did this deal with me because of the value I brought him as a wholesaler and the trust he gained in me seeing me do that process. But again, these types of loans are short term, and with every month that went by, I would owe him another 10% in interest, so I had to get to work on the first R, rehab. I used about $60,000 of the money that I earned from wholesaling to renovate this property. Now, could I have borrowed more from my private lender and put less of my own money in? Yes, but this is the danger with low money down deals. The more money you borrow, the more money you're on the hook for paying back. And while I felt confident that I could pay him $90,000 back, I didn't feel as confident that I'd be able to pay him $150,000 back. It would be much better for me to make some mistakes on my first BRRRR deal and it mean that I pay myself back slower than to pay him back slower and ruin the relationship. If you're trying to find deals where you don't have to put any of your own money in, ask yourself this question. If you don't trust yourself with your own money, why should someone else trust you with all of theirs? As we renovated the house, I learned a ton. Two of my favorite things are this LED mirror that we put in the front house and the transformation we made to the backyard and the shed to turn it into a mother-in-law suite. After the renovation, I owed my private lender his $90,000 plus about $4,000 in interest, and I owed myself $60,000. So I needed a way to get $154,000 back without selling the house. The next 2 steps happened at about the same time: rent and refinance. Rent is pretty simple. We rented out the mother-in-law suite for $600 a month and the front house for $1,400 a month. So $2,000 in rental income. Not too bad, right? But remember, I owe my lender $94,000 and myself $60,000. That's when the cash out refinance happens. I bought the house for $90,000, and through a crazy amount of effort and money, it appraised at being worth $205,000 at the end of the renovation. Now it's finally time to do what the traditional investor did first, and that's get a long-term loan from the bank. Through a cash out refinance, I can take out a mortgage for 80% of my new appraised value. 80% of $205,000 is $164,000. I then use that money to pay back my private lender his $94,000, pay myself back $60,000, and there's still $10K left over. That $154,000 that I took out to pay back those loans now becomes my monthly mortgage, which gets paid back in equal payments every month for the next 30 years. I use the $2,000 in rental income to make those payments, as well as set aside some for vacancies and future repairs, which leaves me with about $580 of monthly cash flow, which is $6,960 per year, which is an infinite return on investment because all of the $60,000 that I put into the rehab, I've gotten back out. Plus now I can do it again. I paid my private investor back his $90,000, plus he got paid about $4,000 in interest over just a couple of months, and everything went so smoothly that he ended up loaning me another $70,000 to buy this dump, but that's a story for another video. If you want to skip the more beginner strategies and start BRRRRing right away, I recommend that you find a local investor who's already doing it and add value to their business so you can learn as much about the process before you start for yourself. I've got a video on 15 different real estate side hustles that you could do to get your foot in the door with an investor, start learning the ropes, and get paid a little bit at the same time. But I must say, I really like the order in which I tried these strategies. The only thing I would do differently is I would probably be looking for my house hack and my first wholesale deal at the same time using an app like DealMachine. So if you accepted your challenge to finally get started, let us know in the comments, grab the special offer from DealMachine, and check out one of these deep dive videos on the strategies that we discussed today. You can click here and links will be in the description.